My brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in every person's life when the applause stops. The crowd disappears and the room gets quiet, real quiet. And you start to wonder, can I really do this? Not because you stopped believing, but because everybody else did. You showed up with vision, with passion, with fire in your heart. But what met you was silence, doubt, and sometimes even betrayal. But I'm here to tell you something real today. It's not about who's clapping for you. It's about who's calling you. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs come in seasons of rejection. When no one's cheering, when friends walk away, when family doesn't understand, when critics get loud, that's not the time to sit down and question your worth. That's the time to stand taller, speak louder, and walk in what you know is true. Because when God puts something in your heart, you don't need the world's permission to move forward. Just because people don't recognize your potential doesn't mean it's not there. In fact, many times, the most powerful things in life go unnoticed by the crowd. Think about it. The roots of a mighty tree grow in silence, hidden beneath the soil. The foundation of a building is laid underground, away from sight. And your value, your calling, your purpose, that too doesn't always show up in the eyes of others. But it's real, it's deep, and it's placed there for a reason. Let him rule. One of the most dangerous traps people fall into is thinking that other people's applause equals their worth. But applause fades. Applause is seasonal. What you need is not recognition. What you need is revelation. You see, when people overlook you, when they underestimate you, when they dismiss you, it can feel like a personal attack. It can shake your confidence, make you question your dream, make you wonder if you missed something. But let me tell you this, you are not waiting on them. You're not waiting for your family to get it. You're not waiting for your friends to see it. You're not waiting for your boss to approve it. You already have what it takes, and it was placed inside of you by the only one who matters. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to stay faithful to what you've been given. So many dreams die because we'll spend more time looking for affirmation than they do acting in alignment. They want someone to clap before they commit. They want someone to co-sign before they create. But here's the truth. Not everyone can see what God is doing in you because not everyone was meant to. If they didn't give you the vision, they're not responsible to validate it. What they call too big, too much, or too impossible may just be exactly what you're called to build. Their limits do not define your lane. Their opinion is not your assignment. There's power in knowing who you are, even when others don't. And there's even more power in staying true to it. The moment you stop performing for the crowd and start aligning with your calling, you become dangerous to everything trying to hold you back. You start making bold decisions. You start saying yes to things that scare you, and no to things that used to trap you. You stop shrinking to fit their small vision, and you start walking like someone who knows they carry something sacred. It's okay to be misunderstood. It's okay to be counted out. It's okay to walk alone, because your value was never up for a vote. Whether they cheer or criticize, whether they celebrate or ignore, whether they stand with you or turn their backs, you keep moving forward. You're not doing this for attention. You're doing this because it's who you are. Because something in you won't let you quit. Because something in you burns too deep to ignore. And that's something. That's purpose. So don't let their silence mute your voice. Don't let their doubt cancel your belief. Don't let their blindness distract you from your vision. What you carry matters. What you build matters. And the world may not see it yet, but heaven does. And as long as heaven approves, you've already won. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep building. Because your value is not measured by their applause. It's measured by your obedience. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences a person can face. It can sting so deeply that it leaves scars, not just on the outside, but on the soul. When someone tells you no, when a door slams in your face, when people walk away, or when opportunities vanish, it feels like failure. But what if I told you that rejection is not the end of the road, but the beginning of a better one? What if that no you heard wasn't a denial, but a divine redirection? Too many people quit at the first sign of rejection, thinking it's a sign they weren't good enough, smart enough, strong enough, or worthy enough. But rejection doesn't define your worth. It reveals your next step. When people push you away, when they exclude you, ignore you, or belittle your efforts, it's easy to internalize it. You start questioning everything. Your dream, your identity, your calling. But God doesn't waste rejection. He doesn't allow you to be pushed out without planning to pull you up. That setback might just be a setup for something greater. You didn't lose anything when they walked away. You gained clarity. You gained direction. You gained freedom to grow in a new place with new people on a new path. Some doors need to close because what's behind them is too small for you. Some opportunities disappear because they would have limited you. Some relationships end because they were tied to a version of you that no longer exists. When you've been called higher, you can't stay stuck in what's familiar just because it feels safe. Rejection shakes you. It wakes you. It moves you. And that's a blessing in disguise. Because if you only ever walked through open doors, you'd never learn how to climb. Think about the greats. Those who changed history, who left impact, who shifted culture. They all faced rejection. They were laughed at, mocked, ignored, and told to quit. But they kept showing up. They turned rejection into redirection. They realized that the road to purpose is rarely paved with applause. It's often filled with silence. criticism, and closed doors. But they walked anyway. They refused to let someone else's opinion become their ceiling. So maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you've been told you're not enough. Maybe people overlooked your talent, dismissed your voice, or shut down your idea. Don't let that stop you. That rejection might be the very thing that leads you to the open door you've been praying for. The people who told you, no, don't hold your future. They don't control your destiny. What they meant for harm, God can use for good. What they walked away from, He can multiply. Where they said never, He can say now. You've got to learn to thank God for the closed doors just as much as the open ones. Because sometimes His protection looks like rejection. Sometimes His elevation starts with separation. He's not punishing you. He's positioning you. He's pulling you out of what's less so He can prepare you for what's more. But you've got to trust the process. You've got to believe in the bigger picture. You've got to stop crying over what walked away and start preparing for what's on the way. This isn't the end. This is the shift, the turning point, the reroute. Let rejection be your reminder that you're being redirected, not dismissed. Lift your head, square your shoulders, and walk forward. There's something ahead that's greater than anything you've lost. Don't chase what left. Pursue what's coming. Because you're not being rejected. You're being realigned for something better. When you find yourself in a season of isolation, it can feel like punishment. The phones stop ringing, the support fades, and the crowd that once stood around you disappears. Suddenly, you're walking through life without the voices, encouragement, or affirmations you were used to. It feels like abandonment. But what if I told you that isolation isn't always a curse? What if it's not punishment, but preparation? There are moments when God pulls you away from the noise, not because you failed, but because He's about to reveal something to you that you could never hear in the crowd. Sometimes elevation requires separation. You can't grow in a noisy room full of opinions, distractions, and drama. You can't develop discipline with a crowd constantly entertaining you. There comes a point where you have to step away or be pulled away to go deeper. That's where God molds you, shapes you, breaks what needs breaking, and builds what needs building. It's not glamorous. It's not popular. It's not loud. But it's powerful. Because what happens in the silence can transform your spirit in ways applause never could. Look at every great leader, every strong voice, every powerful visionary. They all had their wilderness season, a time when no one understood them, no one supported them, and no one stood with them. They weren't being punished. They were being prepared. They were being strengthened in the dark so they could shine in the light. What you develop in isolation will become the foundation for what you build in public. You can't skip the process. You can't microwave maturity. And you can't rush the rhythm of real growth. When people walk away from you, let them. When the doors close, don't panic. When you're left standing alone, don't fold. Lean into the silence. Embrace the solitude. That's where you'll find clarity. That's where you'll hear the whisper of divine instruction. That's where you'll learn to depend on people, not on approval, but on the strength that comes from within. In isolation, the masks come off, the distractions fade, and what's real rises to the surface. There's power in learning to be okay by yourself. Not because you're rejecting others, but because you're discovering who you are without needing their approval. You learn to walk without being carried. You learn to speak without needing validation. And you learn to believe in what's in you. Let him rule, even when there's no one else around to echo it back to you. That's real strength. That's real maturity. That's preparation. Some of the greatest revelations will come when no one's watching. The lessons that will carry you through life will often be forged in silence. Don't despise the season of isolation. Honor it. Use it. Let it develop your prayer life. Let it stretch your faith. Let it awaken your creativity. Let it push you to read, to write, to grow, to heal. Let it become your secret place of power. Because when it's time for you to step back out, you won't just return, you'll rise. People may not understand the quiet season you're in. They may question your absence, your stillness, your distance. But that's okay. They weren't meant to understand it. This season isn't for them. It's for you. It's for your preparation, for your development, for your sharpening. And when the time is right, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, more focused, and more ready than you've ever been. So if you're walking through isolation, don't fear it. Lean into it. Let it shape you. Let it equip you. Because this isn't punishment. This is your preparation ground. And your next level depends on how you handle it. Confidence doesn't need confirmation. That's a truth you have to plant deep in your spirit if you're going to fulfill your calling. Too many people are waiting for someone else to approve them before they move, waiting for someone to clap for them before they speak, waiting for the crowd to cheer before they believe. But when you're walking in purpose, you can't afford to wait for confirmation from people who don't understand the assignment on your life. Confidence is not about ego. It's about alignment. It's about knowing who you are, who sent you, and what you were created to do, even when nobody else sees it yet. The most dangerous thing you can do is put your confidence in the hands of people. Because people are fickle. One day, they love you, the next, they forget you. One moment, they celebrate you, the next, they criticize you. If your strength is rooted in their words, then your foundation is already cracked. Real confidence is built on something deeper than praise. It's built on identity. It's built on truth. It's built on the unshakable understanding that you were made for this. even if no one else gets it yet. You weren't called to be average. You weren't made to blend in. There's a fire inside you, a vision inside you, a gift inside you that can't wait on a committee to vote it into existence. That dream wasn't given to a group. It was given to you. So stop waiting for everyone to understand before you move. Some people won't believe until after it happens. Some won't support until it's already done. And some may never acknowledge you. But that doesn't matter, because your confidence is not based on their confirmation. Think about this. When a builder lays the foundation for a skyscraper, no one claps. No one sees the hours, the digging, the pouring, the leveling. But it's the most important part. It's what determines whether the structure will stand. You are laying the foundation right now. In the silence, in the waiting, in the grinding. Don't let the lack of applause convince you the work doesn't matter. The most important steps often happen in secret. And it takes confidence to keep showing up when no one notices. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to broadcast itself. It walks with authority, not arrogance. It doesn't shrink to fit the room, but it also doesn't boast to prove a point. It simply knows. It knows that what's inside is greater than what's outside. It knows that the one who started the work will finish it. It knows that purpose doesn't expire just because people don't approve. That's the kind of confidence you need. The kind that keeps building when no one sees. The kind that keeps walking when no one follows. The kind that keeps speaking when no one listens. When you stop needing their approval, you become free. Free to take risks. Free to create. Free to speak boldly. Free to stand alone if you have to. Because now your movement isn't dependent on emotions. It's led by conviction. You begin to live with a sense of divine certainty. A knowing that your steps are ordered. A knowing that your presence has purpose. A knowing that even if no one else claps, heaven is backing you. So walk in confidence. Not because everyone's behind you, but because you're in alignment with something greater. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them wonder how and why you keep going. But you keep going anyway. You keep showing up. Because confidence doesn't need confirmation. It needs consistency. And if you stay consistent, the fruit will speak for itself. You don't need perfect belief to move forward. You just need a mustard seed, a little faith, a flicker of hope, a quiet yes in your spirit. Sometimes we wait for everything to line up, for our doubts to disappear, for fear to leave the room before we take a step. But that's not how faith works. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in the presence of it. Faith is choosing to act even when your knees are shaking. It's speaking even when your voice trembles. It's saying, I don't know how, but I know who. And that's enough. So many people get stuck because they think they need to feel 100% ready. They think belief has to be big, bold, and overflowing before it counts. But the truth is, even the smallest step forward is powerful when it's driven by real faith. You might be full of questions. You might still be healing. You might not have all the answers. But if you've got a little belief left, just enough to get up, just enough to keep moving, then you've got what it takes. You don't need the whole staircase to take the first step. It's easy to believe when everything's working out. It's easy to be bold. When the bank account is full, the support is strong, and the plan is clear. But what about when it's not? What about when doors are closing? When people are doubting you? When your heart is tired and your strength is fading? That's when real belief is forged. That's when it matters the most. Because it's in those dark, quiet moments, when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, that your faith grows deep roots. That's where character is built. That's where unshakable confidence is born. If you're waiting for all your fears to vanish before you move, you'll be waiting forever. Fear doesn't just leave. You learn to move in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. Every person who's done something great had to face the voice of fear and tell it, "You don't get to decide my future." They had to believe, not because they had all the answers, but because they had a calling that wouldn't let them quit. And let me tell you something powerful. Small faith still moves mountains. God doesn't need you to have it all figured out. He just needs your yes. That little bit of belief, that decision to keep showing up, to keep trying, to keep trusting. It's more powerful than you think. When you take a small step, heaven meets you in a big way. Doors open, strength shows up, wisdom arrives. Not because you forced it, but because you had the courage to believe when it didn't make sense. So stop beating yourself up because you don't feel bold all the time. Stop thinking you need to have it all together. You don't. You just need enough belief to take the next step, to try one more time, to say yes to the process. And with every step, your faith will grow. Your confidence will rise. And before you know it, the ground beneath your feet will be proof that little faith can take you a long way. Keep moving, even if it's slow. Keep believing, even if it's fragile. Because small faith, when it's real, is stronger than loud doubt. And if you hold on to that belief, even just a little, you will see breakthrough, you will see purpose unfold, and you will see the power of faith that didn't wait for perfect, but chose to act anyway. Breakthrough doesn't begin with applause, opportunity, or even resources. It begins with belief. Long before anything changes around you, something has to shift within you. You've got to believe it's possible. You've got to believe you're called. You've got to believe you're equipped. Even if everything around you tells a different story. Because the moment you start believing in the vision placed inside you, you activate a power that goes far beyond talent experience, or luck. You activate purpose. And once purpose is set in motion, no obstacle, no critic, no delay, and no setback can keep it from unfolding unless you stop believing. Most people never walk into their breakthrough because they're waiting for someone else to believe in them first. They're waiting for validation from people who are too distracted to see their value, or too small-minded to recognize their potential. But breakthrough doesn't wait on permission. It waits on conviction. You don't need an audience to begin. What you need is agreement within yourself. An agreement that says, I was made for more than this. An agreement that says, I don't have to settle here. That internal decision, that fire that says, yes, when everything else says, no, is the birthplace of transformation. Breakthrough starts when you refuse to keep thinking like you used to. When you stop shrinking, stop second guessing, stop trying to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. It begins when you realize that the old patterns, the old fears, the old cycles can't go where you're going. And that means letting go of small thinking. That means standing in front of the mirror and declaring that even if no one claps, even if no one understands, even if no one joins you, you're still going to walk forward. Because belief doesn't require consensus. It requires courage. There's a power that gets unlocked when you truly believe. Not halfway, not passively, but fully, with everything in you. That kind of belief moves you to action. It pushes you to pray like you've already won. It pushes you to prepare, even when no one's watching. It fuels you to write, to build, to speak, to serve. Not because you're being noticed, but because you're being obedient. Breakthrough comes to those who act in faith, not just those who wish for it. Your breakthrough may not look like a big, dramatic moment. It may look like getting back up after being knocked down. It may look like applying again after the rejection. It may look like forgiving when you want to hold a grudge. It may look like showing up to a quiet room and speaking like the world is listening. Don't underestimate the power of those moments. They are seeds of belief. And when they are planted and watered by faith, they grow into doors you couldn't open, favor you didn't expect, and outcomes only God could orchestrate. It's easy to believe when the vision is clear and the path is straight. But what about when it's not? What about when it's dark? When it's delayed, when it's lonely? That's where your belief is tested. That's where you prove whether you really trust what's inside of you. And that's where breakthrough is born, not in the crowd, but in the quiet resolve that says, I will not quit. I will not give up. I will not doubt what I know I'm called to do. So if you want to see change in your life, it starts with belief. Not belief in perfect timing, not belief in favorable conditions, but belief in purpose. Belief in the God who called you. Belief in the seed that's already in your hand. Because when belief rises, breakthrough follows. And the moment you dare to believe, even when no one else does, is the moment you unlock a future greater than anything you've left behind. So if they doubt you, let them. If they laugh, let them. If they leave, let them. Because you were never built on their belief. You were built on the unshakable truth that you are chosen, equipped, and called for a purpose greater than their opinions. So don't you dare quit. Don't you dare fold. Believe in yourself, because the one who called you already does.